Intact waste tires are a common sight on many Vermont farms, but here at the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, we're hoping to change that. Old tires are used as weights to hold down those giant tarps that protect feed bunks, found most often on Vermont's dairy farms. The tires are placed on the bunks once the feed is covered in late summer or early fall, and the tarp is peeled back as feed is taken from the bunk. Tires are removed and piled elsewhere as the bunk is uncovered. Many farms have a ton of extra tires because they accumulate and take up space, especially when locals dump tires, with or without the farmer's permission, onto existing piles. It's a big problem. Tire piles are an eyesore, and here in Vermont, we care deeply about the landscape and keeping it safe and beautiful for Vermonters and visitors alike. But mostly, tire piles are a health hazard. Intact tires provide perfect mosquito breeding habitat for some species. Warm, gross water, protected and abundant, and on farms, there's nearby access to hosts after emerging as adults. We have lots of Culex species that maintain and spread West Nile virus in Vermont. We don't have a lot of Aedes albopictus yet, although we do have an established population in southern Vermont that we believe is maintained in tire piles we've yet to find. Intact tires are incredibly heavy to begin with, but when you have 10 or 15 gallons of water and mud in them, they can be impossible to move by hand, and many a back has been thrown out doing so. Farm waste tires reek, and by the end of the day, you're covered in filthy, stinky mud. I have a farmer friend whose family won't allow him in the house after working with the tires. He has to strip in the utility room and leave his clothes outside while he races to the shower. Enter Vermont's Super Slicer. Purchased in 2023 from Eagle International after a decade of pursuit by our Vector program and using funds from Vermont boat registrations, the Super Slicer has been a smash hit with farmers and others with an interest in managing waste tires. First, sidewalls and their companion treads don't hold water at all. The problem of mosquito breeding habitat in tires is solved immediately once the sidewalls are removed. Second, sidewalls are much lighter than intact tires and can be overlapped for extra weight. The heavier remaining treads can be used around the edges to keep wind from lifting the tarp. This makes the farmer's job much easier. The sidewalls and treads can be handled by hand or picked up in quantity with a forklift or other farm equipment for distribution or storage. Sidewalls are easily stacked on rebar or field stakes, making storage neat and efficient. Finally, sidewalls are much cleaner and more pleasant to handle without all that heavy water and mud impounded in them, and they don't stink. So far, we're able to loan the slicer out to farms for free. Farmers maintain the machine, clean it, grease it, and fill it with diesel when they're done. The slicer usually stays 2 to 3 weeks on a farm before moving on to the next recipient. For safety and liability, we require a certificate of insurance and an on-site training for all farm staff who'll use the machine. Agency staff demonstrate the machine in use and go over a safety checklist. The farmer signs a use agreement on-site after the training. We've also been able to assist with another, quite literally heartwarming annual Vermont tradition called Wheels for Warmth, which was started 18 years ago by our governor, Phil Scott. At this event, Vermonters can turn in their old tires and buy good, used tires at a fraction of the cost of new ones. At the same time, the many, many thousands of dollars raised at this event go to help needy Vermonters with winter heating costs. In 2023 and 24, we sliced up thousands of the tires that could not be resold and gave those valuable sidewalls to farmers free of charge. At the same time, we reduced by a third to a half the tonnage of waste tires that had to be disposed of. Everyone was extremely happy with this outcome. While Vermont awaits legislation requiring tire manufacturers to take responsibility for waste tire disposal, we'll continue to seek out these mosquito breeders around the state and help our farmers by providing this free service. It's our goal to have Vermont be the first zero waste tire state where farms are concerned, and to get as many waste tires off our roadsides and beautiful landscape as possible.